I swear I have too many dog hairs all over the place. What's going on, you guys? My name is Andy, and today we're going to be talking about my Canon R5. I've owned it for 4 months now, and I'm ready to talk to you guys about the good and the bad. Let's go ahead and start with the good. One of the biggest reasons we all want the Canon R5 is that it can record in 120 frames per second. 120 frames per second is what gives you that super buttery slow motion. Well, the last time that Canon released a camera with that is, I think, the 1DX Mark III, Mark II? And that's that big camera that I don't think a lot of people want to carry around. And I'm talking about photography camera besides all the cinema line that they have. Obviously those lines, they have all this super slow motion, but in a camera with such a small body, I don't think they've ever had it. Leave it in the comment below if I'm missing a camera, but I don't think so. In 1080p too, I don't know about that. I know what they do with 720p, but not in 1080. And that's what we want. 124 frames per second in 1080. Smooth. I have to talk about the 4K no crop, because in the Canon EOS R, it had a big crop, a really big crop. I think it was like 1.6. This one, no crop, and you can record in 4K, you can record in 8K. It's just insane. I haven't even tapped into 8K recording yet, but the picture that comes out of this R5 is so good. It's sharp and it looks beautiful. Dual SD card. Well, one SD and one CF Express card. CF Express card is what I record all of my videos in. So for example, this one, when I don't have my Ninja 5 on it, it's recording on this. So all my slow motion on the CF Express card. And then my SD card are all the photos. So moving on to the next point, 45 megapixel. If you're buying an R5 or even looking at an R5, you're probably a photographer and a videographer, because 45 megapixel is no joke. This is something you would want if you're a photographer, something you would want to get all that details in your shot. That 45 megapixels is one of the reasons you got an R5, and in this camera it has it. It is amazing. It is sharp. It looks beautiful. I love it. I love being able to crop in. I love it having all the details in there. I just love the 45 megapixel. It has the joystick, so moving around the screen is super easy. But then again, it's also a touch screen, which makes this even better. So you have an option to use the joystick to move around, or you have an option to touch your screen. But then going through the menu with the joystick is also nice too. But then you can also go through the menu with a touchscreen. Wow. This camera just has everything. You remember how I used to love that thumb pad on the R? I used it for white balance. Now I use the wheel as a white balance, and that replaces it pretty well. So now when I want to change the white balance, I just spin the wheel one way or spin the wheel the other way. I'll make a video on how to set that up for you guys if you guys like. Now I have everything I need. So let's go on to the bad of this camera, because no camera is perfect, and this is what I don't like about this camera. Because this camera shoots in 4K and because the quality is so amazing, it is a big file. And I'm talking about big. We're not talking about megabytes, we're talking about gigabytes. I have recorded a video that drops it over and it's like 1 point something gigabyte. I've done a 2 gigabyte. This video right here is probably like 2 to 3 gigabytes. With that comes a lot of storage space. So now you're spending a lot more money on storage space. Remember that CF Express card I was talking to you guys about? That CF Express card for 128 gigabyte is $200. And that's only 128 gigabytes. You're gonna fill it up really fast. And now when I drop it into my computer and I added all my files in there, I usually keep all my videos. And now we're talking about filling them up really fast. So like gigabytes and gigabytes worth. So now my storage, which is my SSD or my external hard drive, I have to get a 2 terabyte to a 4, 5 terabyte hard drive. That's just to store the video on there. And sometimes it's just one video. I'm using so much gigabytes, I'm using so much memory that it's beginning to add up. I'm adding up to a point where I'm debating, should I even keep my raw footages, because this is a lot of storage and I'm buying like storage faster than I would like to. The amount of videos I want to put out, versus the amount of storage I want to buy, it's insane. It's a lot. So I don't know what I want to do yet because it's beginning to get pretty expensive. Not only that, but the rendering time. So editing in 4K now, when I drop it in there and then I render to edit that 4K video, because even with my iMac, top of the line iMac, I still can't have a smooth scrubbing on the timeline. It still jitters a lot. So I have to render that. And you know, it's taking like an hour and a half to 2 hours, okay? Let me tell you guys something. I have had from 30 minutes of rendering time to 2.5 hours to 3 hours of rendering time. And I'm just sitting there because now I can't even record a video because my express card's in there or my SSD is in there and it's rendering and I can't do anything now. So it does take up a lot more time. Remember that 45 megapixels I was telling you guys about? Well, 45 megapixel is gonna be harder on your computer. If you don't have a good computer, I was gonna say really good computer, but you might be able to manage with just a good computer. Maybe. With this iMac, I work on it fine, but sometimes I find myself just waiting for the files to load, the image to load. If you guys have a faster one or even slower one, imagine that you have to buy a better computer to smoothly edit 45 megapixels. If you have like hundreds of photos that are 45 megapixels, it can take a toll on your computer. Editing that is gonna slow down. The trade-off for this R5 being such an amazing camera is that you're gonna have to spend more money on things to use it on. So express card, computer, SSD, storage, lenses. It's not just the camera price that you're paying for. You gotta start thinking about all the other stuff too. But do I think this camera is worth it? Oh, hell yeah. Like, I love this camera. I love the 45 megapixel. I love everything about this camera so far. And I've used that 120 a lot. What do you guys think? Leave it in the comment below. Tell me if you guys are interested in getting the R5. Is it a future purchase or is it something you guys don't even want at all? That's the good and the bad about this camera. So far, 4 months, I still love it, even with all the bads. All right, you guys, my name is Andy, and if you guys are new here in this channel, I talk about photography, videography, reviewing camera, lenses, and gimbals and tripods, anything about cameras and video cameras. If that's something you guys are interested in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that like button to see more content from me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.